First, you're gonna have to do some 3D. There's plenty of tutorials on how to make low poly models, but you don't actually need to be very good at modeling, since you can get away with a lot by applying a shader and lowering the screen resolution. I used the PSX Retro Shader for Unity by Marco Dsoft. It's linked in the description. You can alter the pixel snapping values in the shader code to increase or decrease the effect. Just make sure to keep it 4:3 if that's the aspect ratio that you will use. If you'll be making many similar but slightly different models, I suggest you make the body parts out of simple shapes and UV map them first. Then you can reuse these base meshes to create new models, and since it's all low poly and low res, it won't really matter if things get slightly distorted. For the textures, use photos, screenshots, or just draw them yourself. I do a mix of all three, it mostly looks good either way. If you think a texture is too high resolution, you can just scale it down in the engine. Remember to set the filter mode to point filtering. Animation is the most time consuming. I guess you can use something like Mixamo, but I enjoy creating animations myself, and I think it looks better if they're not professionally made. Sometimes you're probably gonna want to animate longer sequences, like I did for the scene with Todd here, in which case it's helpful if you already prepared the sound to sync your animation to.
Or I released Skyrim.
Speaking of sounds, just record them in the original game using Stereo Mix.
You dork. Go back to the chess club.
Export with the lowest quality settings for some extra flavor.
You dork. Go back to the chess club.
To put it all together, I use Unity's Timeline, which is a sequencing tool that can play animations, play sounds, toggle game objects on or off, and so on. In combination with player controls and triggers, it's really easy to create the illusion of a game this way. Just make sure to time your actions and be in the right positions for your sequences to work. When you've done all that, record your game in a low 4:3 resolution and render the video out in 20 or 24 frames per second. Now get ready to be told all the ways it's not an authentic recreation of a PS1 era game.